All right, a tough loss. Solid opponent. Shot ourselves in the foot with the turnovers. Similar story now the first 2 weeks in that case. I'm sure that's been said a lot to you guys now post game, but it ought to be. And it's difficult to win in this league when you lose a turnover battle by one, let alone by the margin we've lost it by. So we got to fix those mistakes and not let it continue. And then obviously proud of the way guys fought. Continue to feel like we have guys who can make plays and be explosive and make this offense go. And Kevin's going to give us a lot of opportunity to do that. So we're going to call a lot of guys' numbers. And I guess that's really all I have to say. So take any questions yet.
Kirk, how were you able to overcome a lot of the pressure that they were able to create to still have such an effective passing game overall?
Well, yeah, I think it's a combination of, I was still getting, protection to be able to get through the progressions. And I think, guys did a good job winning in their man coverage matchups, their match coverages. And, Kevin and the staff did a good job of, getting number one, number two open, so I wasn't having to sit in there too long. And, it's just a combination. The O-line did a good job, mix up the snap count, trying to stay disciplined there. And, there are a lot of moving parts when you go on the road. So, outside of the turnovers, felt like we did a lot of good things.
How confounding just is have the turnovers been for you just to see so many so early?
Yeah. I think you look at each one as its own entity, and you kind of look at it. Well, why did that one happen? And is there a pattern? And in some cases, there isn't. If Justin is going out of bounds at the 5-yard line, he's not reaching, right? He's reaching because he thinks he has a chance there on the half-yard line. So that one's kind of its own entity. And then you have, the sack fumble, where I'm saying, okay, why is that one happening? Well, I got to keep two hands on the ball as much as I can. As a passer, it's hard because you're, pulling your hand back, but, going back to two hands on the ball as much as possible. So each one is its own entity, and we just have to address them each that way.
Kirk, on the sack fumble, it looks like you had to take a couple of hitches there. Did you feel the defender coming around the edge, or was that surprising?
Yeah, I didn't see him. I guess it's that old blindside, term. But yeah.
Kirk, why have you and Justin been able to be so productive, even with other teams knowing that he's Justin Jefferson?
Yeah, so they clearly do. The way they cover him throughout the game, they're very aware of where he is, and you can feel that and tell that. I think our coaching staff deserves a lot of credit for being very creative and intelligent, with how to use him. And then, we try to take advantage based on coverage. So if sometimes he's not, I can't work him, and I'm moving on. But there are other times where you say, yes, they're aware of him, but I still can make the throw. So try to take advantage when the coverage allows it.
Kirk, we've talked about in the past Justin's ability to finish plays.
Yeah.
To see Jordan make that deep catch and finish.
Great line. It's a great question, great line. That was the first thing I said to him. When he came off the field on the sideline, I put my arm around him. I just said, the finish is what I love. You got us 6 points instead of running out, with our red zone offense. And it's tremendous. If you watch his tape from college, he's catching post routes for Pitt. He's catching post routes for USC. He's good at it. When he first got here, I told him I watched his tape, and that was what I saw. And he said, it's my favorite route. And he said it with a lot lower energy than I just said it now. He's a very natural receiver, and that's going to show up in the way he runs routes, the way he catches the football, and the way he, after the catch, makes plays.
Kirk, when KJ was wide open, what happened?
When KJ was wide open, which one are you saying? Good play design. Good play design. I like the call all week, and it had it on my favorites list, and it was great design. And they just, it's crossing pattern, so they have to decide whether we're going to pass it off or run with it. And I think they, on one side, decided to run with it, and the other side decided to pass it off, and then he's able to kind of sneak through.
Kirk, you don't want to be saying it after 2 games in a row, but how do you kind of balance the urgency to fix the turnovers and get better with kind of some encouragement from the way your offense has been able to move the ball?
Yeah, I think you evaluate all football games in that light, where you say, okay, we don't just look at it with one broad stroke brush and say, oh, we lost, that was bad, or we won, that was good. If anything, you have to avoid it when you win. Last year, I think it was a lot of times where we were winning, but you got to go back and be like, this isn't good enough, this isn't sustainable. And so there's a little bit of the opposite too when you lose, of saying, hey, I liked what you did here, I liked what you did here. But obviously, there's a need to coach and fix things and be hard on ourselves anytime you lose.
Kirk, you've talked about the ability to finish with Justin quite a bit too. Like
yeah,
he was pretty hard on himself on the sideline.
Yeah.
That fumble.
Yeah.
Is that kind of one of those where you don't want to dissuade him from doing that, even if it's something in that moment where
you have when you talk ball security and fundamentals, you always say, hey, don't reach for the end zone unless it's fourth down, and yet players do it all the time and score a touchdown. And so, we often joke that, don't reach for the end zone if you're not going to score. Yeah. Is kind of the wink, So it's tough, and the players are instinctual and in the moment. He's so aware of where he is on the field that he reaches for it. But I'm going to be hard on myself, right? I'm going to say, look, that ball shouldn't have stopped him. The ball stops him, so he has to go up and get it and then has to pull through. What if I threw a perfect ball? What if it had dropped right in the bucket? Maybe he runs in untouched. So, again, going back to, we don't even have to have that moment if I can throw a perfect pass and drop it in the bucket to him,